This is Prep Period, an all-sports podcast by the Ventura County Star and the people at VCS Preps.
Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Prep Period, the Ventura County Star's all preps, all sports podcast. My name is Dominic Massimino. He is Joe Curley. You know the drill. We are sports reporters here at the Ventura County Star. Coming to you live today, back on Tuesday on our regularly scheduled programming with a fun show, talking playoffs. We got brackets released this past weekend, Joe. We feasted our eyes on all the playoff pairings for soccer and basketball. Lots of interesting stuff, some controversy, some drama. But before we get to all of that, Joe, how you doing? How you been?
Doing good. I had a nice, restful weekend and ready to work real hard over here next month.
Did you say you had a restful? And you're not being sarcastic? You're not joking?
I think we both had We had restful weekends in our own way in order to bust our butts here the next month as one of our favorite periods of the year here, CIF Winter Playoffs.
Restful weekends in our own way, and we will say no more than that, Joe. So
it's a family show.
Yeah, it's a family show. So, as we've done the last couple of weeks, I think we're going to start with basketball today. I wrote up our playoff pairing story on Saturday, a couple hours after the pairings were released. There were a few kind of things that we were watching, looking out for, having to do with the possible at-large bids for some of our local teams. We had a play-in game for the playoffs last week, that factored into things. But yeah, let's start maybe on the girls' side. I'm just going to roll through. It will be a little tedious, but I'm going to roll through, give all of the playoff pairings, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the more interesting ones here. 17 girls teams and 19 boys teams qualified for the playoffs for a total of, oh my goodness, what is that?
36,
come out to 36. I was a philosophy major, not a math major, Joe. So we'll start at the top. Oak Park girls basketball becomes the second program in Ventura County history to qualify for the open division on the girls' side of things. They get the number 11 seed in the open division bracket. Ventura, side note, is the only program to do it before. They've done it twice in the 2014-15 season and 16-17 season. The Eagles are chasing a possible fourth CIF title after winning 3 straight over the past 3 seasons. Very exciting first-round matchup with Sierra Canyon and former Oak Park star Delaney White in the first round.
Who's that?
Yeah, who's that? Just the star player of the year from a couple of years ago.
The person responsible, primarily responsible for the previous 3 championships.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that star. So
should say primarily, but in large part.
A very large part. Shout out to Coach Burr as well, and the rest of the Eagles
and the returners.
Yeah,
the
so
entire Eagles returner.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that a little bit in the future. But they scheduled Sierra Canyon just a week and a half ago to play non-league. They lost by maybe 30, but there's a few players that were huge parts of that CIF title run last year in point guard Ava Rogerson, in wing Maya Deschâtel, who get to go up against their former teammate who they were guarding in practice and that kind of thing. So that should be really fun. They play Sierra Canyon February 12th and then Corona Centennial on February 14th. In Division 1, it's deja vu all over again for Ventura. They are the top seed for the second year in a row, leading a very deep girls basketball field. You have Ventura hosting Notre Dame of Sherman Oaks in the first round. And then the big local matchup is Thousand Oaks hosting St. Bonaventure. That's going to be a really exciting one. TO won by 2 points in non-league play earlier this season. It's the second year in a row that TO, in their first 2 playoff berths since a extended playoff drought, have to play really, really good local teams from Ventura in the first round. They faced Ventura High last season in the first round, the top seed.
That game.
So yeah, exactly. So kind of tough sledding for the Lancers, but they are prepared. We're going to talk with Coach Ontiveros later in the show. And then Oaks Christian is hosting St. Anthony. So you have 4 local teams in that Division I bracket. Camarillo Girls hosts South of Torrance in Division 2. They're our only D2 team. And then D3, you have some excitement. You had last week that play-in game for the 4th automatic qualifier out of the Channel League. Oxnard beat Rio Mesa. Rio Mesa had to, cross their fingers for a possible at-large bid. They get it. They're on the same side of the bracket, both in Division 3. They're one win away from playing for a 4th time this season, a 4th possible time.
What are they doing with these brackets?
Some craziness there. So Oxnard is hosting Cyprus, while the Spartans will be traveling to Aliso Niguel in the first round. Division 4, you see Moore Park hosting Canyon, and Westlake, the 3rd qualifier out of the Marmani League, hosting Hesperia Christian. Santa Paula, you'll get a kick out of this, Joe, as well, because I know you hate this. Santa Paula, the Citrus Coast League champ, in Division 5 will be on the road at Culver City. Newbury Park Adventist, the Omega League champ, will be on the road at Costa Mesa in Division 6. 2 league champions on the road in the first round. Kind of tough.
Yeah.
Then
the new system, that's out of all the changes with the new system, like the one thing I can handle. I know a lot of coaches hate that. They believe that league champions should always host. But when, Division 1, Division 2, you're going to have a whole bracket full of league champions. So it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
I just don't like it when the league opponents play each other. Stay tuned for that.
I was going to say, yeah, you better keep the powder dry for later in the show. I'm going to unleash you.
Seriously.
And then you have the other top seed in the bracket for a local team is Fillmore in Division 7. They're hosting Hawthorne MSA. I'm assuming that's Math Science Academy. That's my guess. Foothill Tech hosts Lucerne Valley, and Villanova Prep travels to St. Monica Academy. I was trying to remember if that was Wolfgang Wood's father's alma mater, because he always talks about St. Monica, but I believe that's St. Monica Prep, which is in Santa Monica. So correct me if I'm wrong.
I think
Wolf,
it's
if you're
the
watching the show.
same. St. Monica is St. Monica. So I think that's it. When I think of Wolfgang, I know he's from Santa. I think he played at Santa Margarita.
There's a St. Monica in Montrose, I think, and there's a St. Monica in Santa Monica. I think Wolf's one is Well, Coach Wood, if you're watching, you can correct us. Drop a comment in the YouTube chat. And then lastly, Channel Islands hosting Bethel Christian and Hillcrest Christian traveling to Sierra Vista in Division 9. That is your girls basketball playoff pairings for the first round. Joe, does anything jump out to you as particularly interesting or noteworthy? I mean, obviously you have the Oak Park, all of the storylines with Oak Park. You have kind of the Division 1 stuff, kind of deja vu, like I said, over again for both TO and Ventura. Just anything kind of jump out to you looking at these pairings?
I mean, I think you've nailed it in that. I mean, the main storyline is Delaney White against her former school. You've got the big all-local matchup for TO for the second straight year. You've got Ventura as the D1 number 1 again. How far can they go? So you're going to have, I think you did a good job there. I think we're good there.
Awesome. And then we have... Is that Coach Ontiveros right there?
It is.
Coach, how you doing? You're right on time.
The timing was great.
I do my best. What I tell the girls, can't be late to anything.
Can you hear us all right on your end?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. So we got Coach Ashley Ontiveros, head coach at Thousand Oaks. Just an incredible season for the Lancers. The second season in a row since a long playoff drought, you guys have made this Division 1 bracket. I know, Coach, the first time we talked, you said that Joe used to cover you back in your playing days. So this is cool to have you guys both on the show together at the same time.
It is actually really cool. It feels like a full circle moment. So it's pretty awesome.
I don't feel old. Do you feel old?
I'm just entering my 30s, so I don't really know how to answer that The girls
Wow.
make me feel old.
Coach
I
could
love it.
fill it up. She was a great scorer. She could shoot from distance. She'd get to the hole. Good player.
That's
Thank you,
awesome.
thank you.
I love it. So, Coach, I mean, like I said, we did we did a story on kind of that incredible turnaround and what you guys have done with that program over the last few years. How are you feeling about where you were seated? You guys are in D1 again. Joe and I were just talking. It's kind of a little bit of deja vu for you guys facing another. Not only another top local team, but another top local team from Ventura. It's like the CIF is throwing those West County programs at you guys in the first round. Just what was your first reaction when you saw that matchup with St. Bonaventure, I should say?
First reaction was, again, I feel like we've played 3 or 4 teams this year that have all been doubled up. So we've been having a lot of repeats, I feel like, this year. But the girls are excited, and, Coach D is fantastic. They have a great group of girls over there, and, it's always a blessing and a curse playing local teams, but, local teams just means that hopefully you're going to get the gym filled with, more people in the community. So we're really looking forward to it. So it should be a fun matchup.
Yeah, it saves you that trip to Hesperia too. You don't want to make those early in the playoffs.
No, we do not.
There you go. So, Coach, I mean, it was one of the closest, if not maybe the closest, game of 2 of the Star's top ranked programs earlier this season when you guys took down St. Bonaventure by just 2 points. Tell me, kind of describe that game to me, how it played out, and what that maybe tells you about how this matchup's going to go this time around.
It was very high energy. The gym was loud. It was really fast paced. It was really physical. It has some of the top players in the county on both sides. So it was a very competitive matchup, and it's something that we're just looking forward to because our girls love the energy, love the loudness, just love to compete against the best. We were down our senior also that game. So I think it was just a really good game for us to show that, if we're missing anyone, whoever's on the court, we're just going to compete no matter what at the end of the day. But it gave us a good sense of what to even expect for the playoffs since it was one of our closer games. It's kind of like we've been in that environment, before. So the girls are ready. They're really excited. A lot of them are friends with each other on both teams. So we're really looking forward to it.
Definitely. It's part of the cool thing just from a fan's perspective, seeing that matchup is that you guys are both such deep teams. I feel like in girls basketball, a lot of the time you'll see a really talented star player kind of leading the way. You guys have 4 or 5 girls out there who all can fill it up. St. Bonaventure has kind of a big 3 over there. Like, what's that? What do you think that says about kind of your 2 teams and maybe just the level of talent in the county in general that both of these top programs have so many girls contributing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that plays a huge key, and I think that's what's going to make this game fun. Is it can be anyone's night, and I think that's kind of why we have done so well and why they have done so well because one person is a little bit easier to stop sometimes, but when you have 2, 3, 4, 5, however many girls it is, of course it makes things a lot more difficult because you can try shutting down one girl, but that would just mean that someone else, another couple girls will just step up that night. So it makes things a lot more challenging. But of course it makes things a lot more fun because you never know whose night's going to be.
I love it. Joe, you got any questions for Coach?
No, I remember covering that game last year that they, at Ventura, and they competed really hard and they competed really well. And I was really impressed with the way that Coach Ontiveros answered questions after the game. I think, sometimes, in the biggest moments, young coaches maybe don't, aren't there to answer the big questions or just explain what happened from their perspective. So I thought it showed a lot of professionalism and it just made me proud. Someone who I covered as a kid has grown up to become one of the better coaches in the area. So great job, Coach, and good luck.
Thank you guys both. I really appreciate it. And hopefully see you guys at the game on Thursday.
You already know where I'll be, Coach. Yeah,
that's been one of us.
That's been penciled in for quite some time now.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
Awesome, Coach. You have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us.
Back to work.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
That was some impeccable producing by you.
That's what we call very good luck, and a coach who calls in literally on the minute that they said they were going to. That was awesome. Shout out, Coach Ontiveros. So that's our girls basketball pairings with a great addition of Coach to help kind of talk through one of the most exciting matchups up at the top. Let's jump over to the boys real quick.
Shift the boys here.
So at the top of the Division I bracket, we have both Oaks Christian and Thousand Oaks out of the Marmani League making D1. So the Marmani League will be kind of representing local teams on the Division I level. Oaks Christian is on the road at Miracosta. And TO is on the road at Milliken, so both those teams are traveling in the first round. Division II, we have the other two Marmani League teams to qualify for the playoffs. You have Westlake at San Marcos in a fun, kind of all local in a way matchup. A Channel League power in San Marcos. They finished second, just ahead of Oxnard, who will be at North Torrance, who finished 22-6 on the season. And then Westlake is our highest ranked or highest seeded team, I should say, that's actually going to have a home playoff game in the first round. They're hosting Burbank. So all the kind of craziness, the controversy was TO, being that high rated team and not being in position to have an automatic qualifier after a 3-way tie for second in the Marmani League. They get an at-large bid and will be in the playoffs in Division I.
Which is great because they're obviously a playoff team. They belong in the playoffs, and congrats to the Lancers. They earned it. They deserve to be in.
Indeed. In Division III, Oak Park will be at Temecula Valley, while Camarillo, who stunned the Eagles in the Coastal Canyon League finale to clinch their playoff spot, avoid a possible play-in game. They host Warren in the first round in Division III. Division IV sees the third Coastal Canyon League qualifier, AQ, in Moore Park hosting Godinez, while Santa Paula, the Citrus Coast League undefeated Citrus Coast League champions, travel to Corona in the first round. Division V, Rio Mesa, who snuck into the playoffs, another team that squeaked in with that tie versus Ventura, but had the head-to-head wins, sweeping them this season. They host Arrowhead Christian. In D6, you have the most local teams of any division. You have Santa Clara, the Frontier League champs, hosting Eisenhower, St. Bonaventure hosting Western, Grace at Pasadena Poly, Fillmore at Ramona, and Foothill Tech at Carter. So that's 5 local teams in that D6 bracket. And then D7, you have Thatcher hosting Webb Academy, Hillcrest Christian at Salesian, and Channel Islands at Eula Yeshiva. That is your boys playoff bracket.
It's a big field. What we said 36 teams, basketball teams, and I think
19 of them are
19 boys teams.
Yep.
So it's interesting. So we haven't gotten to soccer yet, but soccer had mid-30s, and there was slightly more boys teams than girls teams, which was kind of interesting.
I'd be curious too what the maybe we'll figure that out later, but what the distribution. I mean, so what jumped out to me looking at these pairings was, and it was a theme all season in our rankings, and you have on the girls' side you have a really dominant top 5 in Oak Park, Ventura, Thousand Oaks, St. Bonaventure, and Oaks Christian. You had like really, really, really strong top 5, and that kind of bore out in the playoff pairings. You have 4 D1 teams, 1 open division team. And on the boys' side, it's a lot less kind of concentrated up at the top. It felt like you had more, some of our top teams are, down in Division 3 and Division 4 and Division 5. So that was kind of interesting to me, like where, the teams ended up kind of being concentrated. I don't know if that will be the same for the girls. I mean, you talked about girls soccer having some of the, the Oaks Christians, the Westlakes kind of being up high. We'll see kind of what that looks like. But
So is this the second year they did away with the whole 3A, 3AA
I
thing?
believe it's the first year, actually. Yeah, we have not talked about that. So
Okay.
last year they had, last year they still had, I remember because St. Bonaventure made a run in the 2A playoffs, and I kept, every time I
Okay.
would write a headline, I would be like, is it 2A or 2AA?
Yeah, no, it gets, and then you have to figure it takes you years to figure out that double A's are bigger than, are a division up than the A's. And okay, so that's interesting. So there's a little bit of a weird naming thing going on where there's no reason to have the A and double A again because the divisions were based on other factors, and those divisions are now gone essentially
Yeah.
with the new system. So I don't mind the fact that they changed the naming convention but I had a soccer coach tell me question. Like, why are we still doing open division? Like, the reason open division is
Right.
open division is because those are teams supposedly from all the other divisions.
Yeah.
Open division is just Division 1. Just call it Division 1
Yeah.
and go all the way down to 10. So,
Yeah.
I think they might have kept it because open division in all sports, certainly the winter sports, have a different format than the other divisions. In Division 1 through 9 or whatever, you've got the clear single elimination where you have pool play into a bracket style for the opens.
Yeah.
So I understand that there's, it's different, but just call it, you don't need to call it open division. It's not open division anymore because now I'm getting warmed up, Tommy.
We're getting
So-
closer and closer as we get closer and closer in the rundown to Joe
You don't
talking
need to
about
call it the open division. It's not open anymore. It's not teams from all the other divisions. It's just Division 1.
Yeah.
So
Just
anyway.
yeah, it's just the best teams. It's not it is the best teams regardless of division as according to what the divisions used to be, but they don't exist anymore. So
They don't exist anymore.
it's just the top teams from
I mean,
no matter the school size, no matter the whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say about these details. I mean, I had a story last week about the, some coaches kind of sounding off on the computer
that was great.
ratings, and I think the CIF, electing to not have a final set of rankings or ratings, I should say, computer ratings come out the week before playoffs on the Tuesday was not a very good decision because it allowed, there was a lot of kind of doubt creeping into people's minds. Everybody knew there was going to be lots of movement. And if you had kind of that week in between, it's sort of inexplicable why they didn't have those rankings. I haven't heard anybody say why. But if you had that week in between, then some of these teams who were maybe a little nervous about being so high or being so low or wherever they were, 2 weeks out would have, had their nerves calmed a little bit to see, some movement in the right direction. It seems like we've gotten to a point where, most of that stuff has kind of calmed down. You see, Oxnard was one of those teams that was like, what the heck are we doing? We're so high up. They drop, I think, 14 spots, from like 57 to 71, something like that. You see, TO ends up making it. They dropped down a couple spots. They're still in Division 1, which is, I think, where they, in the end wanted to be. They end up dropping behind Oaks Christian. That's correct. Like Oaks Christian, was the better team late in the season, played a similar schedule. I think they ended up kind of getting things right. But
So what you're saying is, January 27th, they had the fifth rankings come out. And the way they had been doing it with basketball is you had it every week.
yes, on
Whereas
Tuesdays.
soccer, they were doing it every other week. I don't know if that's bi-weekly or whatever, but it's every other week. And then they skipped a week.
The last week, they just skipped it. And it was,
Okay.
I was looking. I was out there in the Twitter
Interesting.
sphere. I was out there, looking to see, has anybody from the CIF come
So
out?
then-
Has any partner come out and said why they're not doing it? No, it's just we're not doing rankings.
So you go
this
into
year.
the moment where it matters with a bigger data set than you had the previous whatever. Everything was 1 week. And then, so the last one was like 10 days or something.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where things ended up going. You have kind of interesting stuff in D3 with two Coastal Canyon League teams playing in that division. You have some fun stuff with possible Marmani League rematches, late in the bracket in D1 and D2. And then, that D6 bracket we're going to see an all local. It seems like nearly impossible for us not to see an all local matchup.
So one thing I do like about the way things shook out is it's pretty balanced where we have teams in the first 7 divisions, or 1 through 7. So that's essentially Division 2 through Division 8, right? Where we've got local teams pretty, across the board there. We don't have any in open in boys, and we don't have any in 8 or 9 in boys, but it looks like a pretty balanced swath there. And I bring this up because when we get to soccer is totally different. And then girls looks pretty balanced. We have an open. We have 1, 2, 3, 4.
4 Division 1 teams.
4 Division 1 teams. It looks like we have someone in every division except for 8.
Except for 8, yeah.
So you've got in basketball, things are pretty balanced. So maybe that ranking system is actually working and maybe working better. I don't know. Let's go ahead and do a stat of the week. Let's do athletes of the week, and then we'll shift here to soccer.
Hot off the presses from
your phone
from
the group text
from the group chat from the group chat with Deuce straight from the Deuce's mouth. We have our stat of the week is this: Ventura girls basketball, who will play as the number 1 seed in the Division 1 playoffs this season, have reached the section postseason for 37 of the last 38 years. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you reach 1,000 program wins like they did earlier this season, is sustained playoff success. Really impressive stuff. Do you want to go double stat of the week and read the next one? Or
yeah, sure. What do we? It's the playoffs, baby. Let it go.
Oak Park. Yeah, so this is a great one. Oak Park has produced one of the biggest turnarounds in Ventura County girls basketball history. After finishing 1-20 in the 21-22 season, the Eagles have won 3 straight section titles the last 3 seasons. Like we mentioned earlier in the show, I mean, it's a testament to Coach William Burr, who's now at Harvard Westlake. It's a testament to Delaney White. It's a testament to all those girls who are still on that Oak Park roster looking for number 4. What they managed to do, pretty incredible stuff.
And let's give you a third stat of the week here. I don't think I mentioned this last week. Buena High girls soccer winning their 27th league championship since 1987. So that's 27 league championships in just shy of 40 years. Whew. 19 of those with Trish Butterbaugh as head coach. So
wow.
That's how you get in the Ventura County Sports Hall of Fame as a coach.
And let's talk Ventura Orthopedic Athletes of the Week real quick. 2 players we got 2 basketball players this time around, Joe. 2 players from 2 teams we've talked about a little bit today. On the boys' side, you have David Alvarez of Santa Paula, junior guard, scored 31 points to help the Cardinals clinch an unbeaten Citrus Coast League title with a 92-48 win over Carpinteria last Monday. Alvarez also became the program's all-time leading scorer with 1,493 points, surpassing his former teammate Jose Valdivinos, who I saw at that Thousand Oaks Santa Paula non-league game last week. Shout out Jose, who capped his career in 2025 with 1,477 career points. Santa Paula, which went 12-0 in league and 23-5 overall, will open the CIF Southern Section D4 playoffs at Corona on Wednesday, like we said. You want to take our girls athlete of the week?
Yeah, Brindley Anderson, Ventura, 6'1" junior forward. She finished the regular season with another double-double performance, 26 and 16 in a 62-43 win over Oxnard on Tuesday. Ventura was undefeated in league at 14-0, winning its 5th straight Channel League championship or league championship. Anderson averaged a double-double with 17 and 10 per game. The Cougars are the top seed, as we already mentioned, in the CIF Southern Section Division I playoffs. We'll host Notre Dame Sherman Oaks on Thursday.
Just a walking double-double. It's crazy. Yeah, literally.
Just like you. All right, so we're going to transition third period here. CIF Southern Section soccer preview. Um, Now the reason why we mentioned how kind of smooth the distribution of local teams was in basketball is because soccer is totally different. And honestly, I've been thinking about this for a few days. I have some theories, but I don't quite know why. So case in point, girls soccer, you've got one open division team, four division one teams, two in D2, three in D3, four in D5, and two in D6. Taking that a completely different way, boys soccer has four in D3, four in D4, four in D5, five in D5, one in D6, and four in D7. I did the math. The average girls soccer team is just barely in Division Two. The average playoff local boys soccer team is like 4.8. It's almost Division Five. So you're talking about like a two and a half division. And it's obviously something with the rankings. My theory is that Oaks Christian and a bunch of our local teams played in the Best of the West tournament on the girls' side, played a bunch of, and so that their ratings went super high. A lot of the guys' teams had recently been playing in the Hart tournament and some other tournaments, and I don't think we had a bunch of boys' teams play really good out of the area teams. In tournaments around Christmas time. And I know one of the big tournaments actually became a local tournament. It was like an Oxnard Shores tournament. So I just think there was like a kind of butterfly effect where because you had TO and Oaks and some of these minor league teams playing really good non-league tournaments, I think that kind of had a knock-on effect where a lot of our local, and because I mean we had two teams in Division One last year in boys, we had some really good teams up higher up, and they're not. I mean, honestly, they're not worse. Oxnard and Pacifica, who were in D1 last year, are now in D4. They're just as good. They're still two of the best soccer programs in Southern California. And
so that's what I was going to ask
happening.
You. That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, like just from the outside looking in, you don't think this is just a like girls soccer is just better this year than boys soccer in the county?
I mean, this is a great year for girls soccer. But I don't think it's a bad year for boys. I think it's a good year for boys too. Calabasas, who's our highest rated team, I think, in D3. I mean, that's a team that you could drop in D1 and they should win some games. So, and Pacifica, Channel Islands, I just think the new system, maybe we don't have a handle on it for soccer yet. Maybe it's not working great because maybe we're a little isolated from a boys soccer perspective. Maybe we're just playing ourselves. But something's happening. And because of that, all our girls programs are kind of bunched up higher up and all our guys are kind of backed up a little bit. And so, so it's interesting, but looking at girls soccer, so you've got Oaks Christian back in the open division for the third straight year. They've had this Champions League style open division now for 3 years, and Oaks has been a part of it all 3 years. And essentially what it is they take the top 8 teams according to the ratings and they put them in a home and away format. So you play, rather than playing the pool play like you play in the other sports, you play what this is the soccer version of that, where you play Oaks is going to play at PV on Thursday, and then on Valentine's Day they'll be home against PV, and whoever scores the most goals over those two legs, they call them, over the 160 minutes of soccer, will go through to the semifinals. Oaks actually went to that semifinal last year. They've been eliminated by Santa Margarita the last 2 years. So they're back in it, and it was kind of, I don't know if you want to call it good news or bad news, but Westlake and Moorpark were very close to also being in the open division. Westlake ended up settling. They're kind of like the Ventura girls basketball team, where they settled as the first team out of the open. They're the number 1 seed in Division 1, which is really funny because last year Westlake was the 16 seed in Division 1, or the 32nd team. They were the last team in Division 1, and they made it all the way to the semifinals, almost made it to Division 1 final. So with KK Chawana and a lot of their, they've got some great players who are Division 1 players who are going, who have been in this situation before, have won Division 1 playoff games. Westlake, deserves to be in that situation. Moorpark, very similar. You've got a very experienced, a lot of success. They've won a playoff game, I think, in 4 of the last 5 playoffs. They've won CIF championships. They've won state championships. It's a very Mikey Alexander's program is a very good program. They're the 4th seed in Division One. They're your Coastal Canyon League champions. Westlake, we should say, they beat Oaks on the final day to upset Oaks Christian and win the Marmani League, and I thought that was going to push them into the Open, but they just by a fraction weren't the 8 team. Defending Division II finalist Thousand Oaks, who had a very rough start of the season, is now looking healthier and looking good. They're in Division I also. And also Camarillo, which finished second to Moore Park in the Coastal Canyon. They arguably have our best player in 24-goal Arkansas commit, Mackenzie Gwynn. So, you get a player like that, put her in the playoffs, they got a shot to win any game. So Westlake, Moore Park, TO, and Camarillo in Division One. You've got 3 SEMI schools, Royal, SEMI, and Grace, who are all the number 2 seeds in their divisions. Royal's in Division 2, SEMI's in Division 3, and Grace is in Division 6.
That's a fun stat.
So
I like that.
Which is great because Royal hasn't made the playoffs for 3 years. They've new coach Orrin Robles has them playing well again. Simi last year just had their first playoff win in 22 years, so they're getting good. And Grace under Vince Allegra has been one of our better girls soccer programs. They've got former star Sammy Fisher was in the NWSL. They've got one of the best returning players in Addie. What's Addie's last name? Anyway, Grace is in position to make a nice run in Division 6. And then, I think someone from the Coastal Canyon, you got Channel Island, Santa Paula, and Fillmore all had great regular seasons. Or Del Sol, who's kind of a similar team there. Their very first playoff, Del Sol girls, first time they've ever made the playoffs. One of those teams could potentially, or more, could make a run in D5. Looking at the brackets, as somebody, obviously, I'm looking at the local teams. You could have a Westlake TO quarterfinal if both those teams win a couple Division One playoff games. You could have a Fillmore CI quarterfinal if both those teams win Division 5 games. So we had 16 teams in the girls' playoffs. And that's, a pretty good roundup of where we're at, I think. Anything before we go on to boys out of that, Dom?
Sounds really interesting. I'm hoping maybe to get out.
We'll get to.
I want to.
We'll
see
get to
some
who's
soccer, man.
missing from that group shortly. Boys soccer. You got. I think because you've got all these teams that I think are quality. Last year we're in D1 or D2 and are a couple divisions down. I mean, I would be shocked if we don't have a couple teams make some noise and get to a semi or get to a final, make me work over here the next month. Defending Division 6 champions, Channel Islands. They've been my number 1 ranked team a couple times this year. They're in D3. Former division, they've won Division 2 and Division 6 all within the last 5 or 6 years. Calabasas, who I think may be our best team, undefeated run through the Marmani League, 2-time defending Marmani League champions now, ton of club talent, on that team. They have a new coach this year, but they've, just continued where they were at the end of last year. They made the quarters last year. It's a team that could really make a run. And then I think the team that may be best suited, well, there's a bunch, if I had to bet, actually, but Oak Park, who has played in Division 1, I think they're in D1 last year. They've, they've been one of our better programs for the last 5-6 years. They had a real fun Coastal Canyon League race where it looked like Moore Park was going to win, and then Oak Park got them in the last week. They're in D4. They got to love, I know Brandon Hyde's got to love being in D4, being in position to make a run there. I mean, like I said, Oxnard and Moore Park, teams that have been Division 1 in recent years. I've seen Oxnard live. I know Moore Park's really good. They're in D3. They got to love their, what it looks like for them, a couple divisions down from where they've been in recent years. And then, Pacifica, Pacifica has had a lot of success. I think they've won playoff games in 5 of the last 6 years. They've gone to, deep in the playoffs repeatedly. They also had a great run in league play where they were behind and they took the lead over Oxnard, and then Oxnard got them. They had like a 12-game winning streak. So, I mean, that's a team that could really go far, even though they're pretty young. And then the Santa Paula last year, they were kind of high up and didn't have a great run, even though they had a great regular season. I think they were my number one team ranked going into the playoffs. And then I think they won one playoff game and they got knocked out. They're in D4. They have to play Carp. They have to play a league opponent in the first round of the D4 playoffs. So I think if you're Coach Manny, I think you love the fact that you're down in D4, kind of with similar sized schools, but I don't think you love playing a team that knows you well, a team that cost you the Citrus Coast League championship just last week. So Santa Paula went into the last game of the season needing to beat Carpinteria to clinch the league title. They lost that game, and CI won their game, winning the league title. So kind of an interesting thing there where you got two teams who know each other well, now have to play a playoff opener. Personally, I don't think any league opponent should ever play a first round playoff game against each other, period. They need to fix that. Westlake also has Marco Hernandez, who I think has been our most productive player, 29-goal striker. He's got 14 assists. I mean, if he's healthy, Westlake in D5 is dangerous. Oaks Christian's in the playoffs for the first time in a couple of years. They're in also D5. Got our Armani team in D5. I'm sure they like where they're at. Our only all-local first-round matchup is Foothill Tech Beacon Hill. So two of the smaller schools. That's all the way down in D8. So,
Wow.
That's our only all-local matchup. But you look at the brackets, we could have a absolutely mammoth second-round matchups on Friday. You could have Oak Park Pacifica, which would be huge. I mean, arguably, two of the top programs, in the area playing each other in the second round. You could have Ventura Camarillo. Obviously, those two schools go back eons in every sport. In the second round, I think that's D5, 4. So yeah, so you could have a CI Oxnard, former Pacific View League quarterfinal, in Division 3 if both of those teams win 2 playoff games. So, I think overall, I think the boys soccer teams are well positioned. I'd be shocked if I'm not working hard February 28th, covering multiple local teams in CIF championship games. From the quality of the girls programs to the, just kind of, I don't know if underrated nature of the boys programs, I guess, according, so anyway, I think there's something happening in the ratings that we can't quite put our finger on, but I think it's just scheduling. I think it's just tournament scheduling. And so, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, just the way that scheduling in and out of area teams and when you're playing your toughest opponents, whether that's going to be in league or whether that's going to be early in the season, like so much stuff kind of goes into, where this algorithm kind of takes you. I feel like that's something that came up in our story from the boys basketball side of things. The idea that, you could have some of your best, some of your highest level opponents be out of the area and just sort of not contribute to your rating because those teams are not, don't have data going into the algorithm, or the idea of, these teams that are in really high level leagues not really losing a lot of points if you drop a game to a really good opponent in league because you're losing to a good team and not a bad team, and then picking up a lot of points if you beat a good team. Just kind of lots of factors and things to kind of uncover, I feel like, with this algorithm as we get more and more time into it.
So all that said, I think the main thing I take away from the weekend deals with something we haven't spoken about yet. I think there continues to be an absolute nasty flaw, just awful flaw in the way the selection process and all in most sports occurs for non qualifiers for at-large teams. One of our very best teams that's right now, former #1 girls soccer team in Ventura County, now #5, Newbury Park, 10-5, 10-5-2. So they win 2/3 of their games. They beat the #4 ranked team in the Southern Section in Oaks Christian head to head. They beat the #12 team in the Southern Section in Moore Park head to head. If I told you that team did not make the playoffs, was not in the field, does that make sense to you? No. I think you could espouse a little bit on what the Newbury Park girls basketball team at 16-13, fourth place in the Marmani League. So essentially the fourth place team in the Marmani League in girls soccer and girls basketball did not get an at-large berth. And I think it's time, I've mentioned this over the last 9 years repeatedly as a flaw. And I think we, it's something that we need to discuss. We're going to bring in a guest shortly. Just mute. Oh. Coach, give me a second to finish how I'm setting you up, and then we'll come to you. So, Dom, competitive equity, as it's called, is now 9 years old. Prior to 2016, the divisions were comprised of leagues. And a division was a group of leagues.
Meaning,
so it made
your
sense.
league was a D5 league, you'd be in the D5 playoffs if you made the playoffs.
These 5 leagues are Division 5. These 5 leagues are Division 4. These 5 leagues are Division 3, that sort of stuff. And so it made sense that how you finished in your league determined whether or not you were an automatic postseason qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
In 2016, CIF changed the rules. Divisions no longer were constructed by groups of leagues. They became, the rating started constructing divisions. Teams were assigned their division based on how they had done in previous years. That has changed, into last year. It's now how you do in the current season that determines what division you're in. But that's changing the front end of the equation without changing the back end. So they left how you finish a league determines whether or not you get an automatic qualifier. And that's an error because, like I said, divisions are no longer constructed by leagues. So what they should have done was change how teams qualify automatically for the playoffs. Now, there's, you could do something as easy as winning percentage or some sort of rating structure depending on the division. But it absolutely, that combined with how flippantly the at-large selection process is. Essentially, if you don't get your automatic qualification in league, it's not whether or not you belong in the playoffs that determines whether or not you make the playoffs. It's just whether or not there's room in the field for you. If they need to take a couple extra at-larges. I really believe
you could be on the line between Division 1 that has 1 at-large spot, or you could be Division 2 has 4 at-large spots, and you happen to, just be on the D1 line, and you don't make it because there's a team ahead of you. It's like,
I was speaking to a parent of a girls basketball player who didn't have an automatic qualifying berth last week, and they were like, "Oh, I think we're going to be in 3, or I think we're going to be in 4," and I'm like, "Flip a coin, it's going to be luck whether or not you make the playoffs or not." And I called you on Saturday when I saw this, and I was like, I've been screaming about this for years, that CIF changed the front half of the equation, didn't change the back end. And it to me, you end up with a situation where the 25th best girls soccer team in Southern California doesn't make the playoffs. And so, I think we're going to, in a second, bring on a guest, but just to show you how random the at-large selection situation is. Del Sol was not in, they're in their, first couple of years of their programs, and they're not in a league yet. They're going to start league play next year in I believe it's the Channel League Association, or the PVL Association, whatever they're calling it. And Del Sol boys soccer won 18 games this year. They went 18-7-2. Del Sol girls soccer went 15-7-2. for the completely random nature of at-large selection, the Del Sol boys who won 18 games did not make the playoffs, and the Del Sol girls who won 15 games did. And honestly, I think both teams belonged in the playoffs. If you win 2/3 of your games, I mean, you got to be in. And I think they both. I was really proud. I mean, obviously they're both on freelance schedules. And I guess if you have a freelance schedule, if you win 80% of your games, you automatically get in. And they could have, both of them, scheduled a whole bunch of lower level teams and gotten to their 80% easily. You look at those schedules, and both of those programs won 70% of their games and played against some of the best teams. Del Sol, I think the boys beat Oaks Christian. There was someone else the boys, Adrian, when we bring him on a second, we can talk about. But I was looking at earlier today. They both had very impressive schedules and did very well. And both I think, are in my end of the, you've got Del Sol boys, I think, are 7 in my poll this week, my rankings this week. So anyway, let's bring on Adrian Garcia, 2022 CIF champion with the Channel Islands Raiders. He has been tasked with building the Del Sol boys soccer team into what I'm sure will be yet another powerhouse soccer team in the city of Oxnard. We know just how ingrained the sport of soccer is in the city of Oxnard and how great the soccer is there. But I just thought, this is a good opportunity for us to, one, get updated with how the Del Sol soccer teams did this year, and two, just highlight how random at-large selection in this era of CIF sports is. And Coach Garcia, fantastic job this year. Great season, and sorry it has to end before you guys get to the playoffs. Tell me about what these last couple of days have been like.
No doubt. Thank you, Joe and Dominic, for having me on. I really appreciate you for giving me that platform. Just to kind of talk about just what this at-large bid is and what it is and what it needs work on. Honestly, I'm very proud of our boys this year. I think for the past 2 years, since we weren't part of a league, this freelance idea was the only option that we had. And like you said, we were really shooting to hit that 80% mark to automatically get into the CIF playoffs. But unfortunately, we came a little bit short. If I would have known, though, that the possibilities are completely random, or like you just called it, it just depends on, it doesn't matter whether it's the better team, it's a matter if there's space for that large team. Yeah. If I would have known this from the beginning, I don't know if I would have pushed as hard to meet that 80% and play those higher level teams, because obviously, we're trying to play the best of the county, and that means playing higher up divisions, and that's what we were trying to do to build this program the way that we built it for the past 2 years. Unfortunately, this at large, I think there's some work needs to be done on it. For me, I was talking to my boys and they kept asking me the question, "Hey coach, if we would have lost more games, would that would helped out?" And it's an unfortunate answer, because the answer is probably yes, but that's not the way that we want to go about it. At the end of the day, I'm very proud of where they come and where they came at. Unfortunately, with this CIF ruling, it was very hard for our boys. But over the past 2 years, I also have mentioned to my boys that this sets up a platform for next year. That next year we will definitely have a league, so that makes things a lot more easy for us to kind of qualify.
So Del Sol beat that Calabasas' only loss, and I know it's early in the season. It was.
I know they didn't have their complete team, but I really feel that we can play with those higher level teams. I really feel even some of the rankings that came out, they're all over. All the teams that we beat are in the playoffs, and it's hard for my boys to see those teams in there when we know that we belong to be in that CIF playoff.
So for the record, they beat the top 2 teams in the minor league. They beat Calabasas, who's maybe our best team. Obviously, they weren't. It was in November, so they weren't they weren't as good as they are right now, but they still beat that team. They also beat Oaks Christian, who's in the playoffs. They beat the Royal team that was in the Coastal Canyon League play-in game the other day. They've beaten Grace. They've beaten Simi. Schools much bigger than Del Sol.
We ended up winning Kennedy for the showcase that we ended up taking at Royal as well. So, and I just highlight the Oak Park. I know we lost to them 1-0, but it was actually one of the highlights of our season. So we know we can play with the higher level teams, and just unfortunate that we didn't get to show that in the CIF playoffs.
I mean, they beat Wainimi, who won the Oxnard Shores tournament.
Yeah.
Who's, year in and year out, how good they are.
They ended up beating CI. I know CI is a pretty high up ranking right now. They ended up beating them for that tournament as well. So, yeah.
I mean, they played the best. They played Santa Paula, Channel Islands, Oak Park, Calabasas. Nobody had a better schedule than Del Sol Boys Soccer this year, and they won 18 games. So, how a team like that doesn't make the playoffs, it just, I've been screaming about that part of this because, how you construct divisions, we could argue about that. But to me, the bedrock of any tournament is how a team gets in it. If you're going to have playoffs, you have to get the right teams in the playoffs. Right. And then you have to put them in the right spots in the right division. So, I mean, I think it undermines the credibility of the CIF playoffs when you only measure the worth of a team based on how they finished in their league. And when you've got a team like Del Sol that's division, call it 5 or whatever, and say you're in a division, and when we saw this in the old PVL, once they changed the system, you had Wainimi was D1, Channel Islands was D2, Rio and whoever was D3 and 4. If I'm D5 and I finish 4th in that league, if I can't beat 2 D1 teams and a D3 team, that shouldn't have any bearing on whether or not I'm a D5 playoff team.
Right. Even if you just look at the Division 5, there was only one team selected for the at-large, which was Golden Valley up in Valencia. You know what I mean? And if you just looked at their schedule, they just barely met that 500 schedule at 8-1. You know what I mean? And just that's how many losses we had, how many wins they have. So it's just unfortunate that they got to go in just because of the simple ranking. They were a little bit ahead of us because of strength of schedule, whatnot. But we know we can play with those teams. We belong in that level of play right now. And my boys are ready. That's the most unfortunate. For me, we get a chance. You know this, Joe. We get a chance to do this year after year, even after the kids graduate. But the kids have been working for the past 2 years. It's really disappointing for a lot of them,
I mean, and it undermines, you could beat the 5 best teams in Southern California in non-league. And then if you don't win your league games, the Newbury Park team was undefeated going into Marmani League. They played they finished 4th in one of the best teams in the best leagues in Southern California. They finished 4th. They belong in the playoffs. They don't get it on the, so I just think something needs to change. I think you go to, if you win 60% of your games, you should be in the playoffs no matter what. And I know, then you're efforting, you're going to play a bad schedule. Some teams will schedule to get to that number, but that's better than a 10-5-2 Newbury Park team, a 18-7 Del Sol team. A couple of years ago, a 21-win Royal team, boys soccer, didn't make the playoffs. So because they finished tied for 3rd in a really good Coastal Canyon league that included that Moore Park team and the Oak Park team. They were really good. So I just think you shouldn't punish teams in good leagues for finishing 4th. So
100% agree.
Anyway, so just tell us about your, who do I need to know on your team? Who had great years this year?
Hey, similar to you guys, but you have some of them up on your on your voting schedule. Cesar Fonseca and Juan Pablo Rodriguez. I think those are 2 of my main guys. There's another guy named Luis Cejas, my number 6. He's my holding defensive mid. He's another guy. I don't remember Enrique Tiscareno of that championship team out in 2020.
Only our player of the year from 2022.
That Division 2 player of the year. That's right. It's funny because he's subbing now. He ended up graduating from Humboldt, playing out there. He played at Fullerton for a while. He ended up graduating from Humboldt, so he's back in the district. So it's coming full circle, seeing a lot of these kids are going out and doing their thing and coming back. So that's very exciting to see. This guy, Luis Ceja, reminds me a lot of this kid. Good in the classroom, all the way around, involved. A lot of good kids that have the potential to play. Cesar Fonseca is my sophomore, so I think we have him for the next 2 years. So he's going to be a wrecking force to be messing with. In the back, man, my back line, we had some injuries. We had some guys get out of town because some things for work. But Christopher Casares is another a name that he was our QB1 for Del Sol.
No, Chris Casares.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that guy is another guy that's been stepping up for us. Without him, this season would not have been what it was in that back line. So looking forward to getting some of those injuries back next year. We're looking to run the table next year, so we will not have this situation happen again next year. We will automatically make sure to get that automatic bid. But like I said, Joe and Dominic, it's just one of those things that just fortunate for these kids. But I'm glad you guys are bringing some light on it, because it does, that's something definitely needs to happen with this at-large situation.
And then, so next year you guys are going to be in, I believe, what is the Channel Coast League Association? So,
Yeah,
so
the top 5 teams, I already have them right here, which I did. It was based on the rankings that just came out last week or this past weekend.
Breaking news.
So Channel Island, the Channel League is going to be CI, Oxnard, Pacifica, Rio, and Buena. I don't know how Buena got in there, but then the Pacific PBL is going to be us, Dos Pueblos, Santa Barbara, San Marcos, and Ventura.
Wow! So you guys are in a league next year.
We're
with
in a league.
Santa Barbara and Ventura.
Santa Barbara, Ventura, San Marcos, and Dos Pueblos. That's correct.
All right, so we got to let you go. We're running out of time, but
right.
I appreciate that breaking news. Looking forward to a whole new era in Oxnard High School soccer next year, with Del Sol joining a lot of its brethren in its first league competition. So, Coach Garcia,
right.
I really appreciate your time, and yeah, we'll chip away at this thing, try to fix
Sounds
this
good.
problem.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
you guys
boss.
have a good day.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a good day. All right, so let's quickly
You got to remember,
update everybody.
You got to remember next year when Del Sol goes crazy in this new league. You got to remember exactly what Coach said. We're not letting that happen again. That's going to be your lead next season when they
it's
do
not an
big
easy
things.
league.
Yeah.
You got Ventura and Sam. Think of the schools in that league. So, but they again, they did great, against the big teams this year. So they got to keep it up. They'll have the whole team back because they don't have any seniors. So, and then fourth period, let's look at some wrestling and some water polo. We have to mention the Pacifica High girls winning CIF Division 3, the team title there. It's the second girls team in county history to win a girls wrestling program. We had Coach on last week. That was so fun. The Tritons won 8 of 14 matches to beat host Elsinore. I believe it was 47-36. Samaya Bazil and Anali Martinez won the final 2 matches to clinch the title when the score was tied 36-36.
I love duels. Like in terms of like the different formats you can have for wrestling, like to me, the duels is the way to go. Maybe it's the track guy in me from back in the day, but yeah.
Pacifica boys won Division 5 last year, and that was at Simi Valley. It was incredible. It was like every time somebody got pinned, it was like somebody had dunked in the gym. It was so loud and so fun. I had a great time. And so, Pacifica wins CIF championships in wrestling in back-to-back years. Boys last year, girls this year. Congratulations to them. Just a quick update on all wrestling, boys and girls. League championships were last weekend. Check out John Catalini's roundup on all the results of the league championship matches. That just posted live on vcstar.com.
Monster story.
And on the app. Huge, I was like, enormous story. And that means that CIF Wrestling, CIF Southern Section Wrestling Championships are this weekend at 4 sites around Southern California. So we'll have some updates on that next week. And then we got 5 water polo teams, I think, still playing.
Yeah, you have Oaks Christian won their first 2 Open Division pool matches, 13-3 over J. Sarah and 12-10 over Corona Del Mar. Wednesday's match against Newport Harbor is for the pool title and a berth straight to the semifinals. If I'm not mistaken, that Newport Harbor team they played at some point. They beat? Yeah, maybe in the finals last year. We'll have to go back and look.
You covered that match, yeah.
Yeah, but so that would be, particularly huge matchup if that's, a lot on the line against a team that they have a lot of history with.
So the winner goes right to the semifinal. The loser plays a quarterfinal against one of the other second place teams or third place team, so that you got a couple chances for them to get to the final there. They either got to beat Newport Harbor or beat them in beat the other semifinalists. So definitely. Once they get there.
And then Agora in D1, Cam in D2, Santa Paula in D4, and Royal in D5 won first-round games to advance to the second round Tuesday. That is today, this evening.
Yeah. By the time this is up, those matches will have taken place.
Yeah, and then you have Buena, Ventura, Tio, Calabasas, and Nordhoff eliminated. So 2 of the 3 teams that we saw, 3 local teams that we saw competing in CIF finals last year are still alive in Oaks Christian and Santa Paula, with Nordhoff, the third team, falling in that first round.
All right, so make sure you download the app. Make sure you subscribe, VCStar.com. We will have a absolute ton of coverage over the next couple weeks. Wednesday, tomorrow, when this posts, so today essentially is boys basketball and soccer.
Boys. Yep.
So we'll have first round for boys basketball and soccer on Wednesday. We'll have first round for girls basketball and soccer on Thursday. Second rounds follow Friday and Saturday. We'll have live coverage on the Stars app and on our social. And obviously we'll have wrestling coverage this weekend. We'll have water polo coverage. So yeah, we're in it. Make sure you get some rest, buddy.
It's happening.
Because we're going to be, it's
when you see us
lock
this time,
in.
When you see us this time on next Tuesday, there's going to be some bags under our eyes, and that's just the first week of it.
It's just the deal. CIF
best job in the world.
Championships for basketball and soccer are 2 weeks from Saturday. That's the 28th. And then the first 2 weeks of March will be state competition. So we essentially have a month or more, a little bit over a month's worth of playoffs left in the winter. And then we get outside for spring.
Joe, is your soccer poll still live until the end of today for our couple of live listeners?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the boys soccer poll is about as trafficked as anything we've had on the site all year. So it's done fantastic. Get on there and finish strong. It's up till 5:00. So if you're watching this live, you can get there till 5:00 is when it ends, and then we'll have the girls soccer poll. My top, I'm making 50. I'm almost done with my top 40. I might push it to a 50 just because the talent in girls soccer is so strong. And then the poll will be up probably Wednesday or Thursday. So we will make that adjustment. So
go check out Joe's final soccer team rankings, my final basketball team rankings at the end of the regular season heading into the playoffs. Those are Joe's live on the site. Mine will be soon. Go read. I have a notebook coming up tomorrow with some injury news that's positive because it's people coming back from injury rather than going away. Some information on Calabasas basketball, some information on some talented post players in the area. There's a lot in there. Go check that out. And then, just follow along. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you're listening, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe to the show. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell so you get that little notification when we go live. It'll, let you tune in because we don't always start at the same time. I regret to say that's on me. But that'll let you know. Leave a comment, subscribe, like I said, share the show to anybody you think might find it interesting. Tap in next week for another great show.
Thanks, Tom. Good job.
Good job. See ya.
It comes down to this for Thousand Oaks in their season. It is a gift to Martin. Martin gets the first down and more. It's a nice little screen to the left-hand side. One play and see ya later. Caldera dives into the end zone. Touchdown Oxnard. What a fitting way to end that run. He's at the 40. He's at the 20. 10, 5, touchdown.